there's a certain way in which that we want to present ourselves to the world. And there are
Mhm.
things that we want the world to know about us or not want the world to know about. And I think coming out of your comfort zone is kind of like coming out of the closet,
Yes, of course.
right? And
Of
it could be
course.
coming out of the closet
Yes.
for anything. And so I don't know,
Yeah.
some people want to go back into that closet. And so what if Vanita sees me out of the closet? Then how am I going to get the rabbit back into the hat, right? So I totally get that. Like I remember, just before we started these videos, till then I was so resistant about wanting to create videos because it's just one of those things. Once you're out there, you're out there. There's no turning back. There's no going back. So um, I completely get that. And yet, it's just about that shift taking place. And when that shift takes place, like it took place for me in a second. And then I don't know what it was, but I was totally okay to be out there, presenting in whatever way, form, clothes, hair, content, I'm completely fine. And when I look at how that shift happens, sometimes, you wonder, like personally, for the last so many years, I've been resistant. No Insta Live, Facebook Live, no videos, none of it. To being at a point where I'm really looking forward to creating some content, and the more I'm doing it, I'm realizing there's actually so much transformation taking place, even through 5-minute calls that I have sometimes, that why not put that out to facilitate something magical in hundreds and thousands of more people rather than just that one person I had the conversation with? And it stirs so much inside me. Like, that's the beauty. It's not that, oh my God, I am creating so much change in people's lives. It's changing me. It's stirring magic within me. I had this one call this morning, and this woman said, is the soul work that we do together going to, I'm a very sensitive person, and is it going to kind of trigger me a lot? And this is when
Of course, valid question.
the
Yeah.
thought that arose was that our emotions are like volcanoes, they're waiting to erupt. And so if you don't address what's, in that bedrock, it's going to erupt no matter what. So why not address what's happening on the inside and heal and deal with
A
it?
safe space in a
Let's
safe
say,
container.
"Ah." And then you're not waiting for something to erupt and like go, blasting you all over your life. So it was such a beautiful realization, I thought, that, why not share that? Because you can then consciously choose to, like you said, in a creative, safe space, choose to work on all those frameworks that are making you, say, for example, so triggered or so easily triggered,
Mhm.
rather than just
Mhm.
waiting for it to one day erupt.
Yeah.
So we're constantly holding ourselves back from achieving so much. I mean, if you look at yourself as a drop in the ocean, or a breath of life force, then there's no limit to our potential. And yet, look at us.
Mm.
I mean, yeah, we may be, moving mountains in whatever area of work we offer, or, the life that we live. But are we truly accessing our highest potential? I don't think so.
Mm.
Earlier you said something about throwing a tantrum, and as in the context of being a mother, and how when children throw tantrums, you know that there's an end to it. So there was something very interesting that happened yesterday, where I believe I threw a tantrum.
Okay.
So we were in the kitchen, and I didn't have help, and I'm usually like really out of my comfort zone when I don't have help. So I'm always like on tantrum trigger. Uh,
Mhm.
my excuse for that is I don't have help, which I'm trying to work on now because that's just not
Mm.
okay. And I was working with the mixie, and Rehan came and just turned on the mixie. And obviously, he couldn't see, up there that the lid was not on. So everything went all over the kitchen, and I lost it. And he got really upset. And then, of course, I did too. And it took me all day to process it and come back to the point where I said to him, I had a realization that mistakes are okay. And, his face lit up the moment I said this. I said, mistakes are okay.
Mm,
And then I took him back to the incident and I said, like when that happened, it was just a mistake. And as long as we learn from it, mistakes are okay. And so even the way I spoke to you was my mistake. And then he promptly said, yes, now I know that next time I have to check if it's turned on or it's not turned on. And, only then
mm,
I'll whatever, play with the button.
mm,
And it was such
mm.
a beautiful, I feel like such a beautiful closure of what happened.
Yeah, gosh, yes,
And just
absolutely.
shifting that, yeah. And it shifted even
And
the
more
experience.
importantly, and I think it's showing it in real life, in not real life, in um what's the word I'm looking for? Modeling it. I think it's different when you just tell it to children. It's one thing to sort of spout it out and say mistakes are okay, but then to say, ki, hey, that mistake happened. This is what I thought about. This is how I processed it. This is what my takeaway, my learning, whatever you want to call it, is, insight is.
Yeah.
I think when children see that process, they know it's almost like, and they are able to pick up and they perceive so much more than we give them credit for.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's now a process that is internalized.
Mhm.
So in a way, it's more than just I mean, it's fabulous that there is that you're actually showing him how it's done, more than just randomly just talking about it through some storybook.
Yeah, I think those are the things that will stick with them, you know? Uh,
Absolutely, 100%.
and I also realize, I mean, I don't
Oh
know if this
yeah.
is the case with many people, but I think this is definitely the case with me that sometimes I can go into a very long spiel about wanting to give a lesson as a mother.
Mm. Oh
And
yeah. I think it's part of one of those buttons that get pressed when you're a parent.
and I think, keeping it like a short, fun capsule can actually make it so much more powerful. That was
Mm.
just very light-hearted. He laughed, I laughed, we laughed it off, and that was it. And I think that was a
Mm.
beautiful lesson there.
Yeah, absolutely.
That it's okay to make mistakes, and the idea behind it is let's learn from it, and that's it. That's it. And you drop it. So for me,
Yeah,
I think that
it's
shifted the
beautiful.
frame there as well, and also that I was throwing a tantrum. I realized it's not okay. I have identified that it's a tantrum, and next time when I'm ready to throw a tantrum because a mistake has taken place, I'm just going to go back into mistakes are okay. That's it.
Mm.
It was a mistake.
And that the underlying, at least for me, was that mistakes are not okay. That's the frame in my head.
Mm. That's the thing about
Like if
conditioning.
mistake, yeah, because how can you make a mistake? That's the voice in my head. You're like, mistakes are like, oh, mistake. Oh my God, there's so much like angst and trauma and charge attached to mistake.
Yeah.
And that's the shifting, right? It's mistakes are so not okay. It's taboo. You don't make mistakes. Mistakes are okay as long as we learn from them.
Yeah. And that's the
That's the
realization
shift.
I had. Yeah, that's the shift. That's the realization I had was the message I gave Rehan through the tantrum I threw. That you made a mistake and it's not okay. The poor child couldn't even see that the lid wasn't on. So he has immediately gone into that anxiety about, oh my God, I made a mistake and mom was so upset. So it is all about telling them, listen, it's okay, you didn't know, it was a mistake, and mistakes are fine. And it's so important to give that message because we're constantly giving them this message in the world that mistakes are not okay. When you're a student, you get less numbers because you made a mistake.
Yeah,
When you're an adult, you go to work,
absolutely.
you get pulled up, you don't get a raise or you don't get a promotion because mistakes are not okay. And then you're
Yeah,
constantly measuring yourself based on all these benchmarks that God knows who has created for you. I didn't get the medal because I came fourth because there's only gold, silver, bronze.
correct.
I made a mistake of not running fast enough. I mean, gosh,
Yeah,
why? Who said there shouldn't be a fourth,
yeah,
fourth
I
prize?
know.
So yeah, it's all that conditioning and it's all just shifting those frames. And I feel like shifting those frames is just so easy. And it's always,
But what
especially.
makes it easy though? I know it like so. I'm sitting here and like, yeah, right. That's a thought that went through my head. So I'm like, it's what makes it easy